With that being said, let's go into the tools, and then I'm going to give you some important distinctions between when to use these tools, so on and so forth. So the very first one, which is my personal favorite, which I will actually, again, try and convince you or shift beliefs here. And I've got a really cool way of doing it. I'll just move a bit closer. Breathing techniques, very, very important. So deep breathing techniques were the very first emotional regulation tool I ever came into contact with. I was working at a summer camp in America, and at the time I was dating this girl. She was at the camp. I should not have been able to be triggered because literally there were only female staff members except for like 1 or 2 other male staff members. But somehow I still managed to be convinced by my negative voice, by my limiting beliefs, that like one male staff member was out to steal my girlfriend. So it was, it was an intense time. And I remember it got to the point where it was so intense for me that I couldn't really handle it. It was eating away at me inside, the anxiety every day, every morning, every night. Whenever I wasn't around her, basically, and couldn't see what she was doing, the anxiety would just eat away at me. And I came across a podcast where they spoke about emotional regulation tools and specifically around breathing. So what I did was I used this breathing technique, which I'll teach you, and I would walk from my sort of cabin area to the main camp and walk around a lake. And as I did, I would do the breathing techniques and I would do a grounding technique, which I'll teach you later too. And by the time I would get to the camp, my anxiety would have dropped to a point where I could actually be stable and deal with whatever was happening without completely crumbling or falling to pieces. So it was actually a couple of weeks later where I bought the tattoo machine and I tattooed breathe onto my hand. So I did it myself actually. So let me teach you a different way, not just a storytelling way. I'll give you a bit of a psychological understanding, science-based understanding, I guess, too. So basically what happens is deep breathing techniques, what they're dealing with is your nervous system. So your nervous system is all out of whack in that space where the emotions are coming up. So when you use deep breathing techniques, what they would have to do, what they do is they activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which basically like sends a signal to your brain to say, everything's okay, relax, you're good. I'll give you a quick example of this. I can show you right now, which is very cool. I want to invite you to just find your pulse under your neck, on your hand, even if you just hold your hand on your heart or something like that. And I want you to start getting like an idea of the natural rhythm of your pulse. Now what I want to invite you to do is slowly and deeply breathe into your nose as deep as you can, and then hold it for about two or 3 seconds. And as you do that, notice if you can feel your heartbeat slowing down. So once you can feel that, I want you to do it again. See if you can notice the heartbeat slowing down. Next, at the end of those 2 seconds, breathe out your mouth, long, hard, and like exhaling everything out as long as you can, as much as you can, and see if you can notice your heartbeat speeding up. So just a reminder, find your pulse, find the natural rhythm, breathing in through the nose specifically, deep as you can, filling your lungs and your chest. Hold it for about 2 seconds, see if you can notice your heartbeat slowing down. Once those 2 seconds are up, out the mouth, long, forcefully, as long as you can. See if you can notice your heartbeat speeding up. So I'll just give you an example as well. This is how it would look. And then keep that exhalation. Once you've like fully exhaled, just leave it for about 1 second or 2 as well. You felt it, right? So you got to believe what I'm about to tell you now. You felt that shift, that change. biology like 101, even from my home country, which is not like a very, first world country type of place. Biology 101, our body wants to bring us back to homeostasis. So like our heartbeat always wants to be at that natural rhythm that it's at. When you are breathing in through your nose, your heartbeat will naturally slow down. Law of homeostasis, your body itself will then speed things up to come back to homeostasis, to back to its natural rhythm. Other way around, when we breathe out through the mouth, heartbeat speeds up. The brain, the body is going to slow things down to bring it back to homeostasis. So it's the breath out that's the most important. And that's also why there's a difference between the nose and the mouth. When we breathe out forcefully like that, it sends our heart rate up. That then activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which as a byproduct lets your brain know to like chill out, to relax, to calm down. So I want you to just like think about that for a second. You have a manual override switch to calm yourself down in those moments where emotions are high. Very important. And I'm sure you could even feel it. And if you didn't, I'd invite you anytime while I'm speaking now, just like do some deep breaths, 4 or 5 of them, as we just did now. You will feel a difference in like your thought process, your bodily sensations, so on and so forth. This is very important. This tool, probably like the most fundamental tool of all the emotional regulation tools. What I would invite you to do in terms of reps and sets, if you want to call it that. And by the way, there will be a PDF on this, like basically a gym workout program for emotional regulation tools, as well as like a daily habit tracker, which I'll send to you all. But in the morning and in the evening, at least 3 of those breaths. So deep in through the nose, hold for about 2 to 3 seconds, out through the mouth. Long, slow, hard. 3 times, at least. Now this is a very important piece here. I say at least. If it takes you 20 times to feel more calm, especially in moments of trigger, do that. This is not like I've done my 3 and nothing's working. Oh no, breathing doesn't work. It's do it until you feel more calm, because it is a skill, it is a practice, it is something that you need to build. It took me many breaths in the beginning. Now it takes me like 1 or 2. It's something that your nervous system, your body gets used to. Another important like pro tip here, because again, I've been doing this for a very long time. As you breathe in, try and fill yourself up as much as you can, like until you're about to pop. What that's going to do is it's going to contract muscles. It's going to create like a tension inside of you. And then when you breathe out, focus on relaxing everything, especially your shoulders. We hold a lot of tension in our shoulders, especially when we're talking about like breathing stuff. So as much as you can in until you're about to pop. Don't worry about looking stupid. Very normal. And like a lot of the time, you're not going to be doing it around people. And then relax completely out. You should be able to feel a difference in that drop, or as you'll see with me right now, as I give you an example again, you'll see the difference in my shoulders. So I'll breathe in. And you can see them up here, nice and tense. And then as you breathe out. Now that's important for 2 reasons. Number 1, that contraction to relaxation is very important for letting go, creating extra relaxation. Number 2, that contraction to relaxation also shows your nervous system that like, okay, we're relaxing now. Number 2, it activates your mental part of this too. So it's actually a little bit of a mental regulation technique snuck in there too, where you will be focusing on your breath, you'll be focusing on your shoulders, on the relaxing. So it brings in the mental factor as well. So very important. So that breathing technique I just taught you now, I call it the 3-second hold. It's my favorite one. It's been my go-to since I started. In the PDF that you will get, there are going to be at least 3 or 4 different breathing techniques. Breathing techniques and the one that you choose are subjective, as long as you are using one. There's one called the box breathing, for example, where it's like breathe in for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, etc. And you're imagining, exactly, you're imagining like as you breathe, it's like, okay, I'm going up each side, etc., etc. Some people love that, some people hate that. You choose what feels the best for you, and this is very important. Whatever feels the most comfortable, yet still creates an impactful difference inside of you, that is your breathing technique. So subjective, choose the one that works best for you. And then, as I said, coming back to the sets and the reps, 3 times in the morning, 3 times at night, and then any time in between where you are feeling stressed, panicked, worried, angry, anything where there is an emotion that is holding you back or causing some type of intensity inside of you, you can use the breathing techniques there too. Now, I'm speaking about sets and reps. There's a little bit of a foreshadowing later about this idea of when to use breathing techniques outside of a trigger versus inside of a trigger, so on and so forth. We'll get into that. The other very important thing is, as you continue doing this, especially outside of trigger moments, as I said, morning, evening, anytime in between, you are basically training your nervous system in general to be more relaxed, to be more okay. If you were to imagine your nervous system right now in like the heat of attachment styles as like a scrunched up ball of tension, what we're doing by practicing the breathing techniques 3 times a day, etc., is we are teaching it to sort of lessen its intensity, to lessen its grip, so to become more loose and more relaxed and calm. All of these emotional regulation tools do that in different ways.